holding the baby. Did anything come to mind? Like, did you think of something
Y'all sleep together?
Nuh-uh.
How you like the blonde? You like the blonde or you like the black? I think I'm going blue tomorrow.
Friends, in today's episode of America's Trashiest Moms, we have a skanky stripper, her fake lover, and a child whose father we don't know. On May the 21st, 2015, a cocaine-addicted mother, Lajouceline Booker, left her 4-month-old son in the care of her boy toy, Christopher Harris. When she returned, her son, Jehemier, was pale and cold to the touch. The infant was pronounced deceased on the scene when medics arrived. Both Jehemier and Chris blame each other and have no information on how Jehemier died. But one of them must be lying, right? I'm gonna go through the case minute by minute with all the crime scene photos to try and make sense of what happened to this poor kid. He died while locked in his car seat in the house with no explanation, and there are no images of the child anywhere. In fact, if you want to know how messed up his life was, have a look at this clip.
Child's father, do we know who he is? Do y'all have any contact with him? Know anything about him?
My only understanding.
No, not really.
No, not really, because when they broke up, she didn't even know she was pregnant with the baby.
Do we know his name?
The only thing we know is
name,
just
that's it.
David.
Yes, they didn't even know who the baby daddy was. I'm going to play snippets of all their police interrogations at the end, so please stay tuned for that. So on May the 22nd, police were notified between noon and 1 that there was an unresponsive child who possibly suffered cardiac arrest. One of the phone calls came from Olivia Williams. She was Jocelyn's next door neighbor. Olivia was in her car and about to leave her house when Jocelyn came running onto the street with Jehemier in her hands. She was shaking the baby hysterically, screaming for help. Olivia described Jocelyn shaking the baby so hard his head was moving erratically, like a bobblehead. The distraught mother approached the car and begged for help, asking over and over if he was breathing. Olivia put the child in the car and began CPR while she was trying to resuscitate Jehemier. She heard Lajouceline screaming to a man, "Christopher!" He was sitting on the porch and she was demanding to him what happened to her baby. The child wasn't wearing any clothes except for his diaper, and the mother was in such shock she refused to take the baby back from Olivia. She couldn't bring herself to touch his cold skin. And you gotta ask yourself, where was the mother? Well, the night before, she was out having a threesome. Don't believe me? Take a look yourself.
I was watching porno girls. Porno. I was trying to have a threesome.
Now some of you already know this case. This is the final chapter, and it's because I've never shown you the crime scene photos before. But let's continue. When police pulled up to the house, they noticed Jocelyn near the house, pacing back and forth, yelling into her phone, he struck him, in reference to Chris. Deputies took the child from Olivia's truck and began CPR immediately. They were only moments into life-saving efforts when they realized the boy was dead and there was probably no chance of reviving him. The Florida DCF as well as Child Protective Services arrived on the scene shortly after to begin an investigation. Paramedics observed marks on Jehemier's right eye, inner lips, chest, stomach and back. He also had an unusual odor about him. Crime scene technicians arrived to begin a medical analysis. No rigor mortis or lividity had set in. Deputies separated Jocelyn and Chris and began asking questions. They had somewhat different stories. Jocelyn told deputies she left Jehemier last night in the care of Chris, and she went out of town with a friend called Mario. He was number 2 of the aforementioned threesome. Cheeky devil. She came back home around noon, and when she came back, the child was in his car seat. She noticed the bruising and the lifelessness of the child right away. Deputies didn't notice any tears from Jocelyn, but noted a frantic manner about her. She would talk calmly for a few moments and then switch to almost crying and speaking erratically. Chris reported that last night, Jocelyn left the home around 10 p.m. after asking him to watch her kids. There was another child there who was 3 years old. His name is unknown. Chris said he had gotten up multiple times because the boy Jehemier was crying repeatedly, so he gave him ointment to his diaper rash. He left the baby in the car seat, sleeping all throughout the night. Yes, the baby didn't sleep in his bed, He slept in a car seat. The fuck? Chris told police Jehemier came back around 6 a.m. before leaving again with Mario. Chris went back to sleep, and when he woke up later, he noticed that Jehemier wasn't breathing. He then called his mother. His mother told him to call 911. His full interview can be seen, link is in the description. Deputies reported Chris had a very calm and unbothered nature about him on the scene, which was quite odd considering a young infant had just died under mysterious circumstances. Chris encouraged officers to check the house because there was no evidence that he did it. He surrendered his wallet for identification, and law enforcement found a small bag of marijuana stuffed down into the bottom. At this point, deputies heard enough and decided to transport them both to the sheriff's office. They obtained a warrant and began the search of the home. Now the other child, the other son of Jehemier, he was found with thin marks on his back. There was some bruising also. What the hell went on with this house? There was a half-empty baby bottle. It was found in the car seat which Jehemier was sleeping in. The bassinet had a pad in it, but it wasn't clean or fit for sleeping in. The residence was also extremely messy with trash on the floor, dirty pots and pans throughout the place. There was dirty diapers everywhere, clothing strung about, and a filthy, fly-infested bathroom. Deputies collected cell phone and 2 strange-looking pills from the living room. Now, while they searched the house, Chris and Jehemier, along with other multiple family members, were interviewed. I think in this case, Chris has been framed, but you make up your own mind. But let me rewind to the days leading up to the incident, starting with Keisha Brown. She's Jocelyn's neighbor. See, Keisha said she would sometimes babysit for Jocelyn. On May the 19th, she visited the residence with her friend Tamika. Both the girls noticed a bruise on Jehemier's thigh, probably from vaccinations, and a bruise on his right cheek. When Keisha changed the boy's diaper, she saw that he was suffering from a severe diaper rash and his waist was very watery. Now it's unclear what kind of relationship Jehemier and Chris had. From all the evidence that I've seen, she led him on to make him think she's interested in him. Chris is a bit mentally slow. She took advantage of that. She used him to look after the kids. Now, Christopher's mother, she told detectives that her son had been babysitting Jehemier for Jehemier. She remembered Chris called her 1 p.m. that afternoon, saying the child wasn't breathing, so she told him to call 911. She confided that Chris had supposedly told her in the past that he wished Jehemier would stay home more often. See, Jehemier was a stripper. She was also a drug addict, and she's out having threesomes and getting up to God knows what. It tells you she wasn't at home. She led Chris on to think she likes him, which in his mind would make him think, oh, I can look after the children. As I said, she used him. Chris told his mum he was stressed out about watching the kids all the time. Now, Tasha Watts, the mother of Jehemier, stated in her interview her daughter had a cocaine addiction. She would constantly allow other people to watch her children while she went out to party. She also disclosed that Chris had been living with Jehemier for only 3 weeks leading up to the incident. He's been living with you for 3 weeks and he's looking after your children. Bruv, I've slept longer than 3 weeks. What the hell is wrong with you? When Jocelyn's mother visited the house on May the 19th, 2 days before this incident, she noticed some redness in Jehemier's eye. She returned the next day, this time noticing a bruise and what looked like blood in the baby's nose. Jehemier explained that Jehemier's older brother had jumped over him, struck him in the eye with his toy, causing the redness. Tasha then recommended to Jehemier that she should just stay home more often and stop letting other people watch her kids. A reasonable demand. You'd agree. Jehemier claimed that when she left that night, she didn't notice anything wrong with Jehemier except the injuries she was already aware of, the redness of the eye and the bruise from the vaccines. When she left, Jehemier was in his bouncer and he was fine. Jehemier noted Chris seemed irritated that she was leaving, but she went anyway. She returned around noon the next day and had forgotten her house key, so Chris came to the door and let her in. Chris told her when she came in, he felt like crap and he didn't sleep well. He also asked her do not turn the lights on because he was tired, but she turned them on anyway. That's when she noticed lifeless Jehemier in his car seat, and that's when she ran outside screaming, calling for help. She claimed she regretted leaving Chris with her children. Well, it's a bit late for that, isn't it, you silly ass? And she never thought he would do something like that because he watches all the kids all the time. She did tell detectives, however, she never saw Chris strike any of the children. but he would yell at them. She knew 100% that she didn't do the injuries or cause the death of her child because she was adamant she would never do it. Police then did a drug test on Jeheuseline. She tested positive for cocaine, marijuana, and benzos. This is a class of prescription drugs used for anxiety, insomnia, alcohol withdrawal, and seizures. So, some pretty heavy stuff, and who knows how often she was taking them. That is a recipe for disaster. Maybe even the disaster of child neglect to the point of death. Chris, as he spoke to police, had a slightly different outlook on the order of events, and he remembered things quite differently. He said that he gave Jehemier a bath because the boy was throwing up and didn't notice any bruises at all, not even the one on the thigh. He didn't dress the baby afterwards because he thought he might be hot. At one point during the night, Jehemier began to foam at the mouth. Chris said he just cleaned it up, not giving it much thought. He told detectives he couldn't explain what happened to the baby because he couldn't remember. And when they asked Chris about the bruising on the baby's face, Chris responded, "I probably popped him one time," as in he struck the child in the face. But if you watch Chris's interview, he's clearly not there. He has some kind of condition. Delayed response, I don't know what it is. So I wouldn't take anything he says with face value. Chris said at one point, "I feel like it's her fault because she left me alone with the baby." He just wasn't making sense. He was rambling to himself and to the detectives. He claimed he loved the child as his own. One angle the detectives took was because she was leading him on, he thinking she likes him, but then she's out with Mario. Chris is now home, looking after the baby, jealous. That could be a reason why he would lash out. You understand the connection there, right? Either way, at this time, there seemed like there's only one person who probably had the straight facts. That was Mario Lewis. Mario told detectives he pulled up to Jehuseline's house around 2 a.m. to pick her up the day before. They went to a couple convenience stores to buy some beer and lottery tickets before taking Jeheuseline to Value Place Hotel. Cheeky sod, did you get full value? Now from 2 a.m., they stayed there until noon. So during that time, he's probably humping her into the headboard, taking cocaine, drinking alcohol, and God knows what other drugs. And then around 12 p.m., Mario dropped her off at home where he saw Chris answer the door. About 15 minutes after he left, he received a call from Jeheuseline saying that Jehemier was dead. Now, investigators were able to obtain security footage to corroborate the story from the hotel's parking lot. Surveillance showed Mario buying lottery tickets and beer at the convenience store, as well as entering the hotel 2 a.m. the early morning. From the CCTV at the hotel to the convenience store, this confirmed to investigators that Jeheuseline was indeed out all night and morning with Mario. And as much as Jeheuseline was pissing around during her police interview, and even though they know she had a part to play in it, the fact that he wasn't there, she could not be directly responsible. So to them, it was obvious Chris was the only person who could have caused the child to die while he was in his care. And when the medical examiner completed their report, it was obvious Jehemier had died due to extreme physical abuse. I mean, he suffered a lacerated liver, fractures on both his right and left ribs, and blood pooling in his abdomen. The medical examiner listed the cause of death as blunt impact to the torso and the manner of death as homicide. Police then tried to contact Chris with no success, so they put out a warrant for his arrest. Now, when he first went to trial, he pled not guilty and was facing 30 years. He was not willing to plead guilty at first in hopes the jury would dismiss him. So, a mistrial occurred. But during the second trial, Chris took a plea deal and got a lesser sentence. The judge gave him 15 years in prison for aggravated manslaughter of a child. Apparently he and his defense team saw it as more of an accident and not so much an intentional murdering of a baby. As I said, Chris suffered from long-term disabilities and he was medicated for ADHD. Chris never gave an explanation as to how Jehemier was killed. So there are still so many questions. And the only motivation, like I said, is that Chris may have been fueled by jealousy of Jehuseline's sexual relationship with Mario. But I think Jeheuseline had a lot more to do with this. But enough of me. I'm going to now show you the police interview and the lie detector test of Jeheuseline and Chris. Tell me what you think.
So we're finished. So what I do now is I go over it, I look at it, and I we talk about how you did on it.
Okay.
And then Investigator Jackson may want to speak with you. So you, on the test, was there anything that you thought about during the test when I asked you those questions that we didn't discuss
I was
before? Because well, let me just hold that thought. What I'll do is I'm gonna tell you, I just believe in being straight with you. You didn't do very well on the test, okay?
oh God.
And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it could be that I didn't explain the questions to you good enough, and maybe you didn't understand it. Second thing could be is during the test, you may have thought of something that we didn't talk about before.
I
and
was
then,
visioning my baby.
yeah, and then the third thing could be you just didn't tell me the truth. So it's probably one of those things, or it could be a combination. But during the exam, when I
Can we
asked
do it
you,
again or something?
well, when I asked you the questions about injuring the baby, did anything come to mind? Like, did you think of something you thought of before that we didn't discuss, or
No, I
you
was
remembered
picturing my baby, what my baby looked like.
when you found him?
Hmm.
And I know that's got to be very difficult to remember. Um, you know, I mean, it's terrible what happened. There's no taking that away, nothing to take away. You know, I can't minimize that. I just tell you, we talked about the exam, how it works, and how a person responds to a question. So what my training would tell me is that one of those three things: either you didn't tell me the truth, I didn't explain things to you properly, or you just thought of something that we didn't discuss earlier. So I would tell you,
What about the temperature in here? I was yarning and stuff. They don't.
no, that wouldn't affect it. I do take into account for that. The temperature, the being cold would affect your body's response and your sweat gland activity. But as long as you're consistently producing a response, then it's still good. If anything, it would be the cold would make it to where you won't respond at all, like to where we couldn't run it. So that wouldn't be an issue. Any yawning, you would have to yawn at specific times for it to affect the exam, and that's why I'm careful to watch you to make sure that doesn't happen. So.
Yeah, yarn. I was holding in some yarns too. You think that could have been it?
No, I would see that if that happened.
Well, I'm telling the truth though. I don't. You think something that a vision or something or anything? I don't. I mean, I'm not lying.
So there's you don't remember spanking the child previously?
No, I
or
don't. That's a
doing
4-month-old baby. You don't get
Yeah.
no response from no baby.
Well, I would just tell you that if there's any chance, like if there was any explanation as to what happened, and I'm not saying, I'm not accusing you here, but
I mean, that's what
if
it
there's
looked
any
like.
possibility that maybe, like we've discussed before, like maybe you were changing the baby and he accidentally rolled off the table, like you turned around and he rolled off and fell down, or maybe the other child injured it.
You talking about due to the marks? That's
Yeah,
why
to cause that bruising.
No.
Yeah. I'm just saying, if there's anything like that could have happened.
No, like I had said, it had crossed my mind. I'm like, do you think my little boy could have did it?
You're talking about the 3-year-old?
Yeah.
Because before you left that day, your mom said, hey, he's got a little blood on his nose and some bruises.
No, that was the day before.
That was the day before.
And my son was jumping over him, but that did not have him looking like that, though.
Yeah, because when you left, he didn't have any of that type of
No, he didn't have none of that.
Yeah. I would just say that if there's any possibility, if there is a good explanation, if it was an accident or anything, now would be the time to get out in front of it. You know what I mean?
I swear to God, on my life, my mother, everything. I'm not lying about nothing. There ain't no explanation. I wasn't there.
And we talked about before. Then you feel like if you would have looked more into what your mother was saying, maybe you could have prevented it.
Yeah, now that really do.
Okay.
I really did thank my son because he was jumping right over him, and I was like, stop, and then, but he wasn't looking like that though. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like if I could have I should have listened to my mother. I should have listened to my mother. My mother, she pinpointed something out, and I didn't listen to her. She said, she called it word for word, and I didn't listen to her.
Do you have any questions? Okay. But my part's finished. Again, I don't have anything to do with the investigation, so unless for some reason another exam comes up or something, that I wouldn't have any more involvement in it. But the yawning or the stuff like that, it
I
wasn't an
don't
issue.
I was 100% honest. I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't do it. I didn't kill my child. Matter of fact, I gotta go finish buying more stuff for my child's funeral.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I appreciate you coming in, and I'm sorry that you're dealing with all
Y'all in a relation? Y'all
Nuh-uh.
y'all sleep together?
Nuh-uh.
Okay. So you just stay over at the house?
Yeah.
Y'all sleep in separate beds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I sleep on the other side, but she be sleeping on the couch a lot though.
Okay. You know who the daddy is of the baby?
No, that what she don't tell me. But he want talk about cash money. Get your damn baby, then you talk about cash money. But she's saying like he a good father, but I can't see. But I'm here though. That part. Mm-hmm. He wasn't there when he was born. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gave baby no diaper. He ain't changed the baby diaper or clean him up or feed him or give him milk or you know what I'm saying? Anything. He didn't do nothing for his baby. That's why he would be on child support. But you know what? It's not in my problem no more. I love that baby in my heart. It's not in my problem no more, folks. You know what?
Well, tell me what happened. Let's go a couple days back and let you just walk me through.
Yeah. I was asleep, like dead sleep. But when she came in, like what the fuck? Like I couldn't explain myself about it. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't explain myself like when this shit happened. That's why I don't like explain when shit like that happened. I don't like explain that. That's why my little brother gone now for. That's why I don't like see.
Well, what is it that you can't explain? That you don't like to explain?
That what happened.
Okay, but that's something I need to know what happened. I need you to talk to me about it.
Mm-hmm.
You owe that to him. You owe that to that baby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, tell me what happened.
Like, I changed his diaper. Okay, he cried when he sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I clean him up. I fed him. Actually, I burped him. I even fed him. Boom. So, I left. So, one of the lights on in the kitchen. So, he crying. So, I see the lights out. He was crying. I said, okay, I'm not going to take out the baby cry for nothing. So, I had put the baby to sleep. So, he was on his stand first. Then I put him on his car seat. So, he was asleep from there. And they said, no, he cried again. So, I walk his car seat. So, boom, boom. So, I text his mama, where the fuck you at? So, she didn't text back. So, okay, just in case shit go down, I'm gonna tell the truth. So, it about, like, I got no text, so I was asleep. You know, I ain't like, I was dead asleep. I don't know what happened. All I know, she yelling, that's it. I was dead asleep. I don't know what happened first beginning. You know what I'm saying? I don't even be there. Like, I be there, but I be like at the stove or my friend's house. But else, I don't be going nowhere else like that. You know what I'm saying? I be at the house a lot. But I told her, she didn't text back to me. But I was texting her. So, okay. I said, man, I'm going to still watch this baby, man, just in case. I said, I'm not going to have the baby up. But the baby was asleep already. I just asking her what she was, but her ass won't be in the streets and shit. But she want to have something to talk about. Why she want to explain to y'all what she was doing. But you know what? You know what, though? Man, I asked her where she was. She didn't text me back yet. She didn't text me back. So, okay, I'm going to leave it at that. She came back around 6 something. Mario dropped her off. Okay. Mario dropped her off. And I said something funny. And then said no. She said, my baby. I thought you were playing the baby. I said, oh man. She said, my baby. I don't like explain stuff like that. I didn't know what happened. Like, I was dead. You can tell I ain't had my clothes on. This one I had on while I was asleep. Like, I was dead awake. Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
I don't know what happened.
When you when you put the child in the car seat, was it still crying?
No, he wasn't crying. He was asleep.
But you could feel it breathing?
He was asleep. Yeah, he was breathing. I was rocking him.
What time was that?
They were yesterday.
Well, that's what we're trying to get.
Yeah, they were See, they were like around. That's why I don't have my phone. They were like around 11.
I've asked you a lot of questions, and on a lot of them, I feel like you've pointed me down the wrong direction. Okay?
No, sir, I promise you.
Don't interrupt me again either. You understand me?
Yes, sir.
I've asked you numerous times questions, and you've pointed me in the wrong direction or went around. Don't shake your head either.
Okay,
all
yes,
right?
sir.
You went around the wrong way about it. Okay?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I told you this.
Didn't I just tell you don't interrupt me? Don't interrupt me when I'm talking to you. Okay?
My baby died.
Hey, I understand that, and that's why we're sitting here right now, okay? Your baby did die. You left your baby with somebody that you probably didn't need you to leave your baby with. But you act like your record's clean. You ain't done nothing wrong either.
What did I do? I left my baby with someone.
You damn right. You left your baby with somebody you shouldn't have left your baby with. Because you would rather go out and run the damn streets.
No,
that's the problem.
That was my ex-boyfriend that stayed with me.
I don't give a damn who it was. You still out running the streets.
I'm not running the streets.
You still got a drug problem.
Look, I'm not running the streets.
No, okay. I'm not done talking.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the child is dead. Okay?
The child is dead.
And that is a shame.
Not under my care. I paid somebody.
You're the mother. It doesn't matter if it's under your care or not. You're responsible.
And then they in my house. They said, I found the baby.
If something happened that's an accident and it got out of hand, you need to tell me that because that's different. Okay? Because that bruising didn't just appear out of nowhere.
No, ain't nothing happened. That's just an accident. I don't think none of that is an accident. I don't know what that was.
Okay? There is a history of that.
What am I hit a 5-month-old baby for?
That's all.
It happens every day.
Well, I don't do that. I don't do that. My kids, they say, matter of fact, they say I let my children run over me. And Michelle's
look here, we've all been in the same position. We all have kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've come home from 24 hours working straight. Kids will not go to bed wide open, just won't be quiet. You say, hey, go on now, go get to bed, go into bed. Then I had to get up and had to tear that ass up.
I was out hanging with my ex-boyfriend. You was right. I should have brought my ass home. And my baby would have been dead.
Now, this is the same ex-boyfriend that you said you couldn't tell us his name?
No, I told you his name. I didn't know his last name. I can't remember his last name.
Bullshit.
No,
I spent most of my career in narcotics, and so did he. We ain't the fucking dope police. We the fucking murder police.
That's what I want. I want us to get through it.
That's what we are. So don't try to, but you're trying to hide who he was.
No.
And another thing is, you also didn't just pop in at fucking noon today. You come home this morning.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
About 8 o'clock or so, you come home.
No, I didn't. Guarantee you I haven't. No, sir, I haven't. No, I
That's
haven't.
not what Mario says.
I ain't come home 8 o'clock this morning. Mario said I came home at 8 o'clock this morning.
It was 8 something.
Well, how did I do it? I got up off my knees with the flick that we were watching of the two.
At the hotel room?
Yeah, at 8 o'clock this morning. Come on now. Where did I go at 8 o'clock this morning?
Back to the house, and then you left again.
That's a damn lie. Mario ain't say no shit like that because I was with Mario the whole time. We had sex all night.
I don't give two fucks about that.
I know that, but I'm just telling you the truth. I did not go back to the house. I'm not lying to you. I mean, if I went back to the house, I would probably save my baby's life.
Let me tell you, this is what I think. And this is the way I feel about it. I think you've been running the roads lately. You've been getting tanked up. Kids ain't been acting right. And you got a little too rough with them. And the little baby's been throwing up because of it for the past couple of days because something inside was ruptured, but nobody carried the baby to the doctor to be checked out. Okay?
Ruptured?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Something was ruptured in my baby?
I don't know if there's something ruptured. I'm saying I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
So,
no.
Like I said, I think you come home tanked up or coming off of something and you ain't done what you're supposed to. And here we are. Listen to me. There's a difference in an accident and there's a difference in murder. Mm-hmm. Okay? There's an accident and murder. Mm-hmm. Okay? You need to figure out which one it is.
I didn't even touch the baby. I'm the one that ran the baby outside.
Sure you did,
Yeah.
because you can't leave the baby inside all day.
I found the baby. He told me to keep the lights on.
Okay, but let's talk about what happened previously. Let's talk about what happened, let's say the day before or the day before that. Okay? At some point, that child was harmed and bruised.
My mama had said something. My mama said she didn't trust him with him.
I don't think Chris, whatever you call him, I don't think that boy's fucking smart enough to hurt anybody.
So, but I killed my baby?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.